to talk about dyslexia, which is something I've suffered with since birth. Now, back when I went to school, it was quite a bit different to how it is now. I mean, going all the way back to primary school, I certainly had a difficult time. During primary school, in the first set of classes that I was in, the teacher was not helpful. In fact, she was a bully. Unfortunately, I was her favourite target. And I mean, quite severe bullying, which nowadays you would never get away with. I mean, she would throw me about, shout at me, yell at me, grab me by my clothes and swing me into seats and things, because half the time I wouldn't know what I was doing. And it was quite a horrible thing. I mean, it was scary, upsetting, you know, I hated school. And this continued for quite a while, until someone mentioned it to my parents, and they went in and had a polite word with them, and it calmed down after that. But from then I moved into the next set of classes, still at primary school, and they were taken by the head, who knew that I had problems, but at this point it was a problem that just really wasn't addressed. I mean, the thing that he said to my parents was the fact that it was a waste of time teaching me, because academically certainly I was never going to get anywhere. And with that in mind, I was taken off all the mainstream normal lessons, and I was given something different to do to everybody else, which obviously makes you stand out like a sore thumb for the start. And you know, again, it wasn't great. I mean, all through my school and college life I got bullied quite a bit for numerous different things, but that's a whole different video, I suppose, if you want to hear about that. But he left, and a new headmaster came, and he put me back onto mainstream lessons. But by that time I was that far behind that while I did my damnedest to catch up, by the time it was time for me to go to secondary school, I was still quite a way behind. So I opted to go to a different secondary school to the one that I should have done, a slightly smaller one. And I did get better help and support there. Now, during these times, I was eventually seen by occupational psychologists and numerous other people, and I was diagnosed as having a severe eye-hand coordination problem, which I do. And to this end, I spent hours and hours with this occupational therapist in her office. She would give me writing exercises to do following different patterns, and I would spend hours just basically with her, throwing beanbags and hoops and all sorts of things at me, not maliciously. And she would throw them at me, I would try and catch them, and, well, basically wouldn't. During my teens, they did some tests on me, and I think I was probably between the ages of 15 and 18, and the test came back that my reading and writing were sort of between a 9 and 11-year-olds. I can't remember which was which, but I've got the paperwork somewhere, but I can't be bothered to find it out. So, you know, it can affect you quite deeply. During secondary school, most of the time I was in the lower classes for things like science and maths. I found maths particularly not difficult, but I actually found it boring, because although I did sometimes struggle with it, it's hard to explain. It also, a lot of it was too easy, and like there were things that you had to, like, for instance, use a calculator for, which were just totally unnecessary. Um, so I spent a lot of time messing about, really, not really annoying anyone else, but just really not paying attention. Um, and my parents had said that I was bored and asked me for me to try something different, but they refused, and said, no, not until you catch up with everybody else. So I then skipped the next 2 stages of maths and overtook everybody. And once again, that same request was made, and we were told, no, I have to stay where I am. Now, when it came sort of towards the last 2 years, and you have to start choosing your GCSEs and the things that you want to sit, one of the things that I really, really, really wanted to do was I wanted to take business studies. Now, my maths teacher was unfortunately also the business studies teacher, and refused to let me take business studies because she said I wouldn't be able to cope with it. So in the end, I did my GCSEs. I did a couple of things that I was interested in. I did the mandatory ones, and then I did a couple of things that basically were the only choices I had left, because I was either didn't want to take, say, French, or because I didn't find it interesting. I couldn't take German because I hadn't done French, which I actually did find interesting, and I couldn't take business studies. So I ended up taking something, this award scheme, which it was all right. But all you did was like organise events and things. It was, you could have done it blindfolded, really. So anyway, I did my GCSEs. They weren't great. Excuse me, sorry. I wonder if I can edit that out. Anyway, I did my GCSEs, and when it came to sort of your next step in life, the careers people said, oh, no, go and do an apprenticeship or go straight into work, which I didn't want to do. I wanted to go to college. And I was adamant about that. I wanted to go to college, and I wanted to do business studies. So, because my grades were low, I couldn't go straight in and do the course that I wanted. So I did a 1-year BTEC in IT applications, which I passed, which then got me onto the business and finance course, which, surprisingly, by some miracle, I actually managed and passed. Imagine that. So there was some intelligence in there after all. And it was during my first year at college that sort of things became apparent that things weren't quite right. Now, I'd already been, I can't really call it now, but statemented, that was it. So the fact that I was a special needs child, or whatever you want to call it, and the fact that I had obviously coordination problems and some form of learning difficulty. Now, I then went on to do my IT course, and my lecturer did notice that sometimes my focus wouldn't be there and things like that, which raised suspicions, and she put me forward for testing to see whether I was actually in fact dyslexic, which I went on the test, did the test. It came back that yes I was, but not only that, it came back that I was in fact quite clever. My IQ test came back well above average, which, after having years of people telling you you're really not that bright, is it's kind of a relief because the way you really, certainly my brain thinks, I mean, I can only really talk from my personal experience, is the fact that I have a lot of ideas, and I see things, and, I can problem solve, but getting it from here onto paper is really, really difficult. It's an immense struggle. And, that is it's just really, really difficult, and it can be really, really frustrating, because you know what you want to say, or you know what the problem is, but you can't explain that. And there's nothing more frustrating than knowing something and not being able to say, oh, look at this idea, look at this is how to solve this problem, this is how to do this, or I've got this amazing idea. And it's really, really frustrating. The The other thing is, because of the problems I had, you do get picked on a lot. So, and it can have quite an effect. So, the next time you see someone struggling to tell the time, or makes a whole range of spelling mistakes, or writes a whole sentence, which is one of my favourite things to do, without any punctuation or anything at all, just think before you take the piss, because it, it, it can have a very adverse effect, and it's not nice. And it really is, having this can be embarrassing. I've had a number of jobs, and sometimes when you have to, I used to work for a golf club, and you had old members, young members, and when you have to ask somebody who's sort of 15 years younger than you what time it is because you can't read the clock, that can be embarrassing, and it can make you feel stupid. You're not necessarily, but you're not. But it's that stigma of things after people have said things to you, or you look at how things have happened in my life. I was told I couldn't do these things, and I was told I was stupid, and I was told I was never going to get anywhere. But I have. I was told I couldn't go into college. I did. I was told I couldn't do business studies, and I did. But there's only so many times you can be told you can't do something, and you can go, actually, I'm going to prove you wrong, and I'm going to do it. So it can be difficult. 4 years ago, the company I was working for was going to the wall, and I made a decision that I wanted to go to university to study. And it was a big step for me, and I was quite nervous about it, but I did it. I knew roughly what subjects I wanted to do. I did a joint honours. I went to the local university in Derby, which is where I live, because it was convenient. I got in, and I now have a BA honours, which, for someone who was told he was never going to get anywhere, is, for me, a massive achievement, and it's something that I'm very proud that I've done. But even despite this, and the things that I have overcome and the things I have achieved, it's always in the back of your mind when you're doing something, or when you're looking for a job, or whatever else, or, it still comes back, are you going to be able to do this? Are you really good enough? And it's a hard thing to overcome. And it's not just necessarily the academic side of things that can be affected. I had to be retested when I went to university, and it was a more in-depth test this time, because obviously things had progressed. And one of the things that came to light is the fact that I have pretty much a zero working memory, which means my short-term memory is rubbish. Quite often I find I can't remember things, and now I know why. So that is yet another side effect of things. I do forget things all the time. I know everybody is forgetful at times, but when it's a constant thing throughout your life, it can be quite difficult. And social skills as well. One, because certainly during my school and colleges, I didn't really pick up that many social skills, because I did get bullied a lot. I don't know if that has a greater impact on it or not, but certainly social skills are, for me, awful. I don't really know how to read situations, and even when I'm with friends, most of my friends now know that I won't be able to read, like, if you're around there, when is a good time to leave, for instance. Most people, you get that sort of feeling, and that is something that a lot of the time just completely escapes me. So, most of my friends know now. They say, right, okay, we're going to bed now. and I know, right, it's time, it's time to go. You know, but just reading situations, even, you know, and like, um, things like dating, you know, knowing whether someone is interested, not a clue half the time. In fact, you know, I've been places with friends and they've gone, you know, they were flirting with you, right? No, not a clue. You know, and not being able to read these situations, or even if you start talking to somebody, you then get a little too far ahead of yourself, which again I'm really horribly prone to. I don't mean to, and it's just the fact that I get over, you know, I think it's excitement more than anything, because you're like, oh, something's happening here, brilliant, oh, yeah, oh, but then you get it's kind of snowballs. You know, so it can and does affect such a wide aspect of your life, and it can be a really, it can be quite lonely. I think is probably the thing. I mean, don't get me wrong. Nowadays, I have some of the best friends anyone could ever have, and I have one of the, you know, I have the greatest family anyone could ever have, and I'm very happy about that. And you know I'm loved and I'm supported in anything and in whatever I do. But to get to that stage, to get to that realization, and to find those people has been very difficult. And also, you know, it is difficult because most people, you know, a lot of the time will just assume that you're stupid, and most 90% of the time, probably more than that, it's far from the truth. So I don't know. I just wanted to tell people what it's like to have this and to live with it and how it can impact your life. I mean, maybe I'll do a more in-depth video on it or something. I don't know. It depends if anyone comments or anything or says anything about this one. But the last thing I would say or ask really is, if you do come across somebody and they really don't seem to get the social situation that's going off, or you see that they are, you know, struggling with the reading or struggling with the writing or the time or whatever, just stop and think before you say something. Just stop and think, because you could do more damage than good. I mean, just as a last example, a couple of weeks ago my nephew came to stay at my mum and my sister's, and I went up to see him and read him his bedtime story. And there were words in this book, I mean, my nephew's 5, that I misread. I mean, most of them, you know, there were only a couple, and as soon as I'd done it, I realised I'd done it. But it's just a prime example. This is a book for someone who is a lot younger than me. So yeah, I mean, that's it really for today. But you know, please feel free to comment on this video, because it obviously is something that's very personal to me as well, and it's not something I talk about often. But yeah, like I say, just the next time, have a long, hard think before you open your mouth. Thank you for listening.